Ciphers in fiction. The Mayor's Wife. I'm not putting spoiler pauses in these videos anymore. Feel free to pause at any time to follow along with pencil and paper if you like, or to check my work. Anna Katharine Green, 1846 to 1935, was born in Brooklyn, New York. She started out writing poetry, then switched to detective fiction. Her first and most famous novel was The Leavenworth Case, published in 1878. She ended up writing around 40 novels total. She's been called the mother of the detective novel, although the first actual detective novel by a woman was The Dead Letter by Celia Register, 1866. However, Anna did popularize the detective genre 10 years prior to the appearance of Arthur Conan Doyle. She died at age 88. The Mayor's Wife, which came out in 1907, revolves around Miss Saunders, a young woman working through a temporary placement office who finds herself assigned as a companion to the wife of the local mayor. We're not told what city the story is set in, but it may be Chicago. The mayor, Henry Packard, is planning to go on the campaign trail, and he's afraid to leave his wife, Olympia, on her own. On her first day, Saunders discovers the house is haunted, that it may contain lost treasure, and the neighbors include two creepy old women that stare at the house all the time from their attic. At one point, Olympia suffers a panic attack and tears up a handful of letters containing some kind of cipher. The intrigue peaks when Olympia exchanges a cipher conversation with Packard's personal secretary, Steele, right under Packard's nose. And Packard demands to know how Olympia learned the system. Saunders has collected the torn pieces of paper, and she presents them and Steele's conversation to the reader at the end of the book, challenging us to figure the system out. What we know. Saunders calls this a form of Hebrew-looking characters and uses a Poe attack on them as a form of simple substitution. She assumes it's in English, otherwise we have no background on the messages. Authors like Poe and Arthur Conan Doyle seem to think that substitution ciphers must have some way of marking word breaks, and Anna Green follows this pattern. Characters with a thicker line somewhere are followed by a space. Putting in the spaces, we can see that there's a single letter word in messages 3 and 4. In general, English only has two one-letter words, so we're looking at either A or I. Switching to the word patterns, we can see that the first 4 messages start with the same 3 words, in a box something, 3 something sequence. If box represents A, then we could have at an, as at, or as an. But none of these combinations suggest the 3-letter word that follows. If box is I, then is it immediately suggests the question, is it you? Unfortunately, the first letter of the third word is a V symbol, and that's already assigned to S. We could try it is, getting it is T something something, but that doesn't suggest anything for the third word either. Changing directions again, many cryptographers will immediately recognize this as a Pigpen or Freemason cipher, although Anna doesn't call it as such. And in recreational cryptography, any method for getting the solution is legal, including using computer solvers and doing Google searches. So let's go to the Wikipedia page for Pigpen and use the alphabet given there. We can stop right now. In this alphabet, the box symbol is E, which can't stand alone as a single-letter word or give us a pair of 2-letter words starting with E. The other Pigpen variations described in the wiki page fail also. Do we have to give up? Well, Fergus Hume, in his 1900 novel The Crimson Cryptogram, used a Pigpen cipher as well, 7 years before The Mayor's Wife came out. Hume didn't call it a Pigpen either, and he never gave the full alphabet. But he shows how the name of one of his characters, Ellis, would look in his system. And he has box and V representing the letters I and S. He also shows the main secret message as upside down L, less than, and dot greater than for RUZ. Unfortunately, I think Hume screwed up, and the character for R should have a dot in the corner. Filling in the grid we get with the letters from Hume's ciphers we can build up a potential alphabet as follows, where the dot in the symbols represents the second letter of each pair. Now, using Hume's alphabet with Anna's first message, we get is IV SCW. Yes, this could just be a coincidence, but there could be a trick involved too. We have two clues to work with. First, the I doesn't change from word 1 to word 2. Second, dot greater than and less than are directly opposite each other in the table. That is, they represent V and W. V is supposed to be T and W is supposed to be U. Writing out the letters in what is effectively odds and evens, A, C, E, G, etc., and B, D, F, H, and so on, T and V are one letter apart, while IS and IV are one word apart. U and W are two letters apart, and IS and SCW are two words apart. It should be pretty clear that after each word, the patterns rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. The real question now is, how can we guarantee the word breaks? Because line thickness isn't always consistent. To verify that we have the system right, let's create the alphabet rotations first, with what I'm calling rotation 1, rotation 2, rotation 3, and rotation 4. Then, using rotation 1 on the first word of message 1, we get IS. Continuing to rotation 2 for word 2, we get IT. And going once more on word 3, we get YOU. Is it you? Bingo. Continue this pattern for the longer messages, remembering that Olympia tore up the messages and Saunders attempted to piece them back together again, but may have been partially unsuccessful. Message 2, starting with is it you, going to rotation 4, we spell out ANSWER. Is it you? Answer. Message 3, starting with is it you again and rotation 4 again, NOD. Notice now, though, that word 8 also uses rotation 4, so we can write this out at the same time. THOUGGT. Looks like we have a misspelling. If we had a dot here, that second G would turn into H, for thought. Return to rotation 1 for word 5, IF. Rotation 2, SO. Rotation 3, I. We have our message. Is it you? Nod if so. I thought. Going to message 4, we start with word 4 and rotation 4. This time, we'll do all of the words for the same rotation one after the other and hope we've got the word breaks right. SAY, word 8, I, word 12, IZ. We're getting corruption here. Rotation 1, word 5, YES, word 9, THOUGHT, word 13, SCW. Rotation 2, word 6, IE, word 10, YOU. Rotation 3, word 7, SO, word 11, CY. The one bracket forming IE is missing the dot, which would have turned it into if. Now, the last 3 words are garbled, but that may have been because Saunders didn't put the pieces back together right, or it may be a separate message. If we run all 4 rotations of those last 3 words, we get rotation 1, 2, 3, and 4. Rotations 2 and 3 clearly contain it, you. And it's not much of a leap to claim that the open box for the first word should have the bottom closed to form is. Is it you again? Saunders might have lost a paper fragment containing 2 of the words, although it's unclear why Olympia would have written you something something is it you, as this pattern implies. Right, I think that's more than enough walkthrough. Message 5 is much longer, but it follows all of the same rules. The only complications are in trying to identify the word breaks correctly, and the fact that all of the dots have been replaced by dingbats. This is the one that Steele and Olympia exchanged in writing, while carrying on an otherwise normal-sounding spoken conversation. Steele was toying with Olympia and tended to add little ornamentations in the place of the dots. Saunders supposedly wrote out the message from memory later, which may account for all of the errors. I've simplified it here. With the errors, we get visiting the sins of the EATHERS upon the CGILCREN unto the TGIQDANC fourth generation. All of the errors here are due to missing dots. Without the mistakes, Steele writes, visiting the sins of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. I've included a link to the JPEG with the corrected cipher in the pinned comment below, if you want to practice on that. And as always, if you want to read the story yourself, the link is in the description below. That's it for now. See you at the next bookshop. Got questions, comments, or suggestions? Leave them in the comments below. Enjoyed this video? Then I encourage you to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. If you want to show further support, you can join us over at the Black Chamber Patreon page, where you can get access to more how-to videos and PDFs on solving the cipher types covered here, additional crypts to solve, and more. Links pinned in the comments below. See you at the next drop point.